Hey there, how is it going? It is Rob from Crypto Bob, and welcome to today's episode. It is August 9th. On today's episode of Crypto Bob, we are going over some of the latest market movements, specifically Ethereum's pretty big run, and then a little bit of a dip actually this morning on the East Coast, and now looks like a nice, hopefully sustained run up back above 300. So we're going over some of the latest movements in what is going on right now in the crypto sphere, and then beyond that, also wanted to discuss two pretty interesting things that have come up recently. Number one is Overstock accepting other cryptocurrencies outside of Bitcoin, and Ethereum really being the main one that they're discussing for that. And then in addition to that, a website that went pretty viral recently, something called WhatIfBitcoin.com. So we're going to check that out as well, show you kind of what if Bitcoin is, and talk a little bit about kind of why it's appealing. And I think really the premise of it is what drives so much of this Bitcoin investment. Well, before we get into the kind of market watch, what's going on, what happened in the past 24 hours or so, I want to thank everybody who joined on the live stream yesterday. Once we hit over 300, had a nice drink with a bunch of people from Reddit and Steemit. So thank you for that. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I know we are somewhat new. If you are watching this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate that. Hit the notification. Like this video, let me know in the comments, and we're also adding this to iTunes as well, so you'll be able to listen to this on your iPhone or wherever you might want to listen to it in the very near future if you aren't doing so already. But let's hop into it. So if you are big on Ethereum, yesterday was an awesome day. You could take a look at the charts here. We're on Crypto Watch right now, but taking a look at the charts here, we had a pretty sustained run up from the 280s all the way up to 310 plus last evening on the East Coast. And then this morning we had a pretty precipitous drop, nice little correction back down to the 290 or so range. It looks like we bounced off 290 and are kind of moving now upwards again. So if we can see some support for Ethereum, at 290, going back up, bouncing back up above 300, that would be a really promising sign. Something that I think a lot of people in the space would be excited to see. Now, conversely, outside of Ethereum, Bitcoin had not necessarily a real rough day. I mean, down three, close to 4% is by no means great in any senses, but in terms of cryptocurrency, it's not a kind of mind-blowingly bad day by any stretch. The one thing that was really interesting to see is overall the ETH to Bitcoin ratio has really moved back into what many people, I'll pull up the chart here, what many people would consider a pretty positive sign for Ethereum. So we can take a look on GDAX, look at the ETH to BTC chart here. We'll take a look at the depth. And that was a nice movement really recently from down in the 0.07 to all the way close to 0.09. We're actually at pushing up on 0.09 again. So that's great to see from Ethereum's perspective, actually getting that ratio back to close to 0.0 or getting that ratio back to 0.1, I think would be a big thing in the eyes of a lot of people within Ethereum. Bitcoin obviously pushing up, still near all-time highs. So nothing there that is, I would say, increasingly alarming or anything of that nature. Outside of ETH, Bitcoin, everything else has kind of been moving along, just kind of chugging along pretty standardly for the most part. One thing that you might want to take a look at is it looks like, in addition to OMG, which was actually able to hold up for the most part during this whole ETH rally, pretty much everything else was lagging behind Ethereum. OMG actually held its ground for the most part on the ratio, but outside of that, the one thing you're probably going to want to take a look at and see where this goes is the old buy the rumor, sell the news with Neo. Ant shares, whatever you want to call it. While they had the whole August 8th thing today being August 9th, they had the whole August 8th thing and that huge run up to yesterday, to August 8th. Neo had a bit of a correction yesterday. Today, things are looking pretty promising. They're up again 18% in comparison to ETH. You're looking at 28% in comparison to Bitcoin. So Ant shares Neo having a really solid run today, and probably looks like the market leader, at least in terms of gains for the day. So that is something that I'm keeping an eye on. I do have a bit of Neo, and I am kind of watching that as it continues to move. I don't know if I'm going to be adding anything to that position in the near future. I did actually shave a little bit of profits off of Neo and put that into OMG on OMG's a little bit of a dip here. So that's kind of where my head's at. But I think Neo might have some additional room to move. So it'll be interesting to see that. Now, outside of the market roundup as a whole, one of the big pieces of news yesterday was Overstock.com is now accepting. We can take a look here at this Fortune.com article. Overstock.com is now letting customers pay with over 40 different altcoins. So Overstock was really one of the first major retailers that began accepting Bitcoin for payment. I think this was back in 2014. There was an interesting podcast I listened to with the CEO of Overstock back in the day where he mentioned essentially locking a bunch of developers in a room and sliding pizza under the door and not letting them out over the course of a weekend until they finish their Bitcoin integration. Obviously, it's not totally the case, but they basically finished it over the course of a night or over the course of a weekend, and they've been doing about $50,000 in sales per week. So nothing mind-blowing from about $2.5 million a year in sales via Bitcoin. And now they are working directly with Shapeshift to accept Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, and a bunch of other quote-unquote altcoins. So you can actually see here how the payment screen looks when you do check out at Overstock. You have your credit, debit cards, PayPal, and then you have Bitcoin as a selection, and then other, which includes the Ethereum logo, the Dash logo, Litecoin, Monero, whatever it might be. So that's pretty interesting, and that is one of, I think, really cool development to see a large company like Overstock not only accept Bitcoin but innovate in the space and realize that not only does Bitcoin have a large valuation, a large adoption, but other currencies out there like Ethereum also do as well. And I think that's kind of the goal behind Overstock doing this, is they realize we're getting $50,000 a week in revenue from Bitcoin. Like I said, that's not massive, I'm sure, in any sense in terms of a website like Overstock, but maybe they might be able to double that or triple that by opening up the floodgates for Ethereum payments or for Dash or Litecoin or whatever it might be. So that's pretty interesting to see how this continues to progress. And again, like I said, Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne is very much pro cryptocurrency, pro Bitcoin, pro altcoin. So I think they're going to be a company that continues to innovate in the space as far as the acceptance and adoption of these cryptocurrencies. And one other additional thing to note on this, which is really, I think, cool to see, is that I think when a lot of these larger retailers accept Bitcoin or accept Ethereum or Litecoin, whatever it might be, they immediately transfer that back to fiat currency. So while they say, okay, yeah, we're accepting Bitcoin or we're accepting Ethereum or whatever it might be, we're going to transfer that basically the second they get that Bitcoin, they're transferring that back to fiat currency right away, because they want to kind of accept these cryptocurrencies. They want to appeal to people that are pro cryptocurrency, but they don't necessarily have the balls to actually hold that on their books. Overstock, on the other hand, is now, I believe, holding 40 to 50% of these Bitcoins and of these altcoins that are coming in through their sales. So if they're getting $50,000 a week in Bitcoin from sales, they're not going to switch all of that over to fiat immediately. They're going to hold 25K of that as Bitcoin internally as an investment, or just as a holding for them. So I think that goes to show that not only are they doing this from the sense of we want to open up the doors for more places for people to spend cryptocurrency and increase adoption, things like that, and we want to be pro freedom, but we also believe in the technology, and we're not just kind of doing this as a marketing stunt. We actually have the the balls to hold on to this. So that is an interesting point, and something that gives me a lot of respect for Overstock, because it's not just a marketing ploy. They're kind of putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting the crypto in the bank, really. So that is really cool to to see how that works. Now, the last thing I want to touch on today: what if Bitcoin? So this is something that went viral a little bit, and this is WhatIfBitcoin.com. If you're listening on the podcast, WhatIfBitcoin.com, and really what this website is it says if you invested XYZ on a certain date in either Bitcoin or Ethereum, how much money would you have? So let's just go to say if I invested $100 in Bitcoin on January 1st of 2012, I would have $64,444. That's ridiculous. That is so crazy to see. And essentially what this website is doing is just giving you the ROI, showing you what that looks like. 64,444% return on investment on $100 if you invested January 1st of 2012 in Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Even if we started, let's say January 1st of 2017 this year, if you wanted to put $100 into Ethereum, you would have, if you put, so it looks like What If Bitcoin has a little bit of some kinks here. So I don't think they got the date completely right, but if you invested $100 in Ethereum on August 8th, 2015, you'd have $41,000. Let's see if we can try this again on the fly to get this right. Here we go. So let's go to January 1st of this year and see, what that return on investment would be. What if Bitcoin is telling us? So, okay, perfect. Yeah. So if you invested $100 in Ethereum on January 1st of 2017, you would have $3,707. That's over 3,000%, 3,700% return on investment. So this website is interesting. It's kind of fun to see. It's very, very simple. It went viral on Reddit recently, but it's pretty cool to see kind of what the potential of investing in cryptocurrency is. And obviously this is all previous, so it leads to, I would say, a lot of fear of missing out in the future, because as something continues to rise up, you're like, oh my God, am I going to miss out? Whatever. The one thing I think you want to keep in mind, and this is almost, in my opinion, in a lot of cases, is these are the type of returns I'm looking at for future state. I don't know if Ethereum is going to be able to deliver another 3,700% return on investment over the course of the next this was 8 months previous. Over the last 8 months, there's been 3,700% ROI. I doubt that's going to happen in the next 8 months, but maybe there are some other coins out there that is possible. So that's something I'm looking at in the future, is what might be the next WhatIfBitcoin.com, what might be the next Bitcoin or Ethereum, what might give you those outsized returns that are really unavailable anywhere else on the planet as of right now. So this is interesting. I would recommend checking out What If Bitcoin if you just want to be sad and you missed out on Bitcoin or Ethereum early on, and you want to see, if I put in $100 or $1,000 at a certain point in time, how much money would I have right now? What If Bitcoin will tell you that as of this moment. So a really cool, really interesting website. Pretty simple, but as I said, went viral, and I thought it was worth sharing. So that's it for today's episode. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate that. If you're listening on iTunes, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, leave a comment. Would really love to hear from you. Hope you found this episode helpful. And again, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the time, and I hope you have an awesome day. Good luck holding with the gains, trading, whatever it is you might be doing. I don't fault you for it, but good luck in this crazy market, and wishing you the best. Crypto Bob signing out.